Hello everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. I want to wish everyone a happy new year. I hope your holiday was fun and relaxing. I know mine was a bit hectic. Today I am bringing you a recipe from the Necronomnomnom. And it is totally 100% just regular spaghetti with breadsticks. This is Formless Spawnghetti. Let's get started. So something that this recipe calls for that I'm a little unsure of how to find. It told me to use breadstick dough. Now I wasn't really able to find anything at my store called breadstick dough, and even when I did a search on the internet, one of the few things that came up was Pillsbury having some pre-made dough, which I also still couldn't find at my store. So the other thing that came up was just pizza dough. So I'm going to make a pizza dough for this, and I'm going to start that with bread flour, sugar, a few teaspoons of salt, and yeast. And I'm just going to give that a quick stir. So this pizza dough recipe is one that I've been using for years. I don't even remember where I found it on the internet, but I was using it so frequently at one point that I just kind of copied it into my notepad. And I will share that recipe with you in the description. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the mixer, and while it's going, slowly pour in some warm water and olive oil. And I'm going to let that mix until it starts to form into a ball. And now I'm just going to give this a quick kneading together. Now I'm going to put it into an oiled bowl, cover it, and let it rise for about an hour. And while I wait for my dough to rise, I'm going to prep everything else, which means I'm going to juice a lemon, chop some garlic, and cut some cherry tomatoes in half. Now that my dough is risen, I'm going to split it. And normally this would be enough for 2 pizza crusts. So I'm going to split it into thirds, and I'll figure out what to do with the other 2 crusts later. I'm going to roll these into a ball. And like I said, I'm going to cover one and let it rise for another 10 minutes. And the other 2 I'm going to wrap up and put in the fridge for later. Now in my pan, I am going to saute my garlic and capers. And I'm going to cook those up for about 3 minutes. Now I'm going to add in chicken broth, parsley, oregano, and rosemary salt. And I'm going to bring all that to a boil. Now that it's boiling, I am going to add butter. And I'm going to let this simmer for a while until it thickens a bit. Somewhere along the lines, I was supposed to add lemon juice, I believe with the capers and garlic. But I overlooked that, so I'm just going to add that in now and let that continue to simmer. Now that this has rested for a bit, I am going to cut it into fourths because the recipe calls for 12, but I'm serving just myself, so I'm just going to go with 4. And I am just going to shape those into little discs and put them into my muffin tin. I've said before how there's a recipe in the back written in easier to understand terms, because the front usually is written in prose with, odd words describing different foods. But there was an important word overlooked in the one part in the back, and that's to do with the shrimp. The regular recipe says that the shrimp should be cooked, and I did not cook it because I thought I was cooking it in the sauce. So that's actually what I'm going to do. I am going to cook this up in the sauce a bit. And I'll let the sauce thicken around the shrimp. And now that that has cooked up, I am going to add in my squid ink pasta. And I'm going to toss all that together. Now I'm going to grab this and put it into my dough bowl. And now I am going to pinch together the dough. And so these definitely don't look pretty, but I think that's supposed to be the point. And now I am going to put these into the oven for 10 minutes. This was pretty good. The pasta and sauce were amazing. I've never had squid ink pasta before, but it's wonderful. The sauce is delightful. It is buttery and herby, and you get a little bit of flavor from cooking the shrimp in it, and just pairs perfectly with the pasta. The dough makes for an interesting delivery method. I mean, basically it's a nice little pocket of pasta inside the bread. Could, like I said, be wonderful. Though I don't think the dough I made did it justice. I think the handmade dough rose a little differently than it would have if it had been store-bought and pre-risen or whatever it may have been. But like I said, done differently, it might have turned out a lot better. And overall, the whole thing was pretty good. I hope you enjoy it. You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at chef_Velmore. The links will be in the description below. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Come on back next week for another recipe.